Hi, this is Rochelle with the Healing Rose, and welcome. So, if you're here, you're clearly curious as to what I carry in my travel tarot bag. So, first off, I thought I'd get the books out of the way. It is a large tote that I carry when I travel. My clothes go in a little backpack. I have my pillow that keeps my neck happy. That goes in one little tote bag. And then I have this great big huge tote that holds all the rest of this stuff. So first off, I have my commonplace book slash journal slash catch-all that I actually only have 2 or 3 blank pages left at the back. So I'm just about to switch to a brand new notebook. It's in I just keep it in like a Hobonichi style little case here. It just holds all my whatever concepts. I've got lists of decks that I want to look at, like things that whatever kind of pops into my realm, anything to do with tarot, oracle, any of that kind of work, all goes into that notebook. So that just goes with me everywhere. I have my current nonfiction novel, Practical Magic by L.S. Hoffman, which is a fabulous book. Totally love it. Of course, this is the book that the movie was based off of. That really fabulous movie with Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. It just had a fabulous, great cast. Totally captures the imagination. The book is very different than the movie, so don't think that if you've seen the movie, you know what's in the book, because things were changed for Hollywood. So that's a very pleasant surprise. I mean, not surprise, but so that was cool. So I'm really enjoying that. My 2 research-related books, Runes, Theory and Practice by Galina Krasskova, which is my absolute favorite book on runes. I've had it for years. She has a very different approach to the runes from a lot of the other rune books that I have read. A lot of which I didn't even keep in my library. I'm looking to see if I kept any of them. I have one of Thornson's books, maybe 2 of them. Yeah, I've got, I think, 2 or 3 of his books. I've got the Runecaster's Handbook. I've got Futhark, Handbook of Rune Magic, Travels Through Middle Earth, Weird Working, which actually was really interesting. Gods of the Runes, Runes for Transformation. Like I've got a few books on them, right? It's an interesting subject. This one, she just comes at things from such a different angle, where it just completely resonated. And this was the book that, even after reading all those other ones, this was the book that really, made the runes stick in my psyche. Like reading this, it was like this huge aha moment. So this is the one that I take with me if I'm planning to do any like big readings. I want to reference anything, or I want another piece that maybe isn't like directly, right there fresh in my memory. I can research this, so this one goes with me everywhere. I love that book. I am rereading this book, Mastering the Tarot, A Guide to Advanced Tarot Reading and Practice by Paul Fenton-Smith. Love this book. This is not a, basic how to, basic, kind of study, whatever. This was a used copy that I got. I had a copy years ago that disappeared, so this was a repurchase. It does go through the cards and it talks about the cards in quite a different way than I find in a lot of how-to books. It talks a lot about if you're reading for other people. It's got a big section on creating spreads and doing your own spreads, relationships of cards to each other, how meanings change by what's around them. So it is a very, very interesting and enjoyable book. So I'm rereading this one this summer. Okay. All right, the practicals. The practicals. What's in there that makes the reading happen besides the fun bits? So I have my reading cloth, which is quite large. So it has all the astrological symbols with places for cards, right? A big, fancy, old-fashioned sun in the middle. And then the bottom half is identical to the top half. So it's actually quite large. It is twice the size, fully double the size of what I actually use for my video readings. So that's going with me. So you always have to have something nice to put your cards down on. So I have one of my newer to me decks that I just, at the time of this recording, I only picked this up less than a week ago, 5 days ago. So it immediately went into the bag. So if I go anywhere, it goes with me. And honestly, I carry the bag from room to room in the house. So if I'm hanging out where I do my readings, the bag's at my feet. And if I'm going to sit and watch a movie for the evening, I take it with me to the living room and it sits there, and then I can take decks out. And, you know, if I'm watching a show and it's got a lull in it, I can grab a deck out and do whatever. Or if I'm watching something about a different reading style or an interesting spread or layout I haven't seen before, right? So I mean, it's my travel tarot bag is not just for leaving the house. It literally travels room to room with me because that's how I roll. So this one I just got and I'm still learning it, so this is going with me kind of just everywhere while I'm learning the deck and reading the guidebook. So that's going to be probably traveling with me for at least a month in the bag. Okay, so right now, currently, as of this week, both of these, this normally is in the bag all the time. I don't usually need to have doubles, but Racine over on, is it Isis Owl Moon? I think is the name of her channel. I will link it down below. She is doing a kind of a deep dive this week on connecting with the goddess Isis through these two oracle decks. So they're hanging out with me for the week. Normally I just take this with me, as opposed to this usually sits on the shelf unless I want to get the book out and reference it, because this is just the pocket size, right? So if you're debating between getting the two, just know that the pocket deck is a pared down version of the large deck, but the backs have the wording on them. So if you're going to use them in a reading, eventually you know all the pictures. So what I do when I shuffle it, and you can't see that on camera obviously when I'm doing readings for the channel, but I shuffle with my eyes closed and I pick the cards with my eyes closed so that I'm not just picking out what I feel resonates with me today. Because you'll start to do that once you learn the pictures. You'll just you'll subconsciously do it irregardless once you know them, right? So these two are hanging out with me while I'm doing that deck study, following along on Racine's channel. Then I have my Archangel Michael Sword of Light Oracle by Radleigh Valentine, illustrations by Echo Chernick. So this is 44 cards. I was kind of on the fence because, you know, I have a couple of Radleigh's tarot decks, and I find, like, for me, for my personal readings, the color schemes that I like and the art style that I like is a little different, even though all of his decks are fabulous and they read really well. So, you know, I was kind of on the fence, and I thought, oh, well, you know, I'll just get it. If nothing else, to just do a flip through for my channel, which of course I didn't do because I got caught up in using the deck and completely forgot about flip throughs, but those are the backs. The fronts are like, ugh, it's just stunning. I might just record a flip through after this just to upload, just so it's there and I can pop it into the iCards. It's a stunning deck. Like it reminds me a lot of like, the colors are like stained glass kind of style. The artwork is, I love this artwork. I totally like it. I wasn't expecting much. I tend to do that with decks, actually. I tend to, for the most part, have a pretty low expectation. Like, I'm not expecting it to wow me. I'm expecting to kind of go, oh, okay, yeah, it's a tool. I'll use it. Let's see how it works first, right? And then I opened it up and was just like, wow. Totally fell in love. Did not expect to, but that's there. That's fabulous. All right. These are... This side of the bag is mostly oracles. Okay, let's just pop these out while I can reach them all. Okay, I think the rest are tarot decks. All right. So I have my little Witch's Familiar Runic Oracle, which is fantastic. So this is pardon me, Athene Noctua. And this deck is her independent deck. You may still be able to get it. I mean, this is the best. I have done a flip through. This is the best rune deck that I have worked with for how fabulous it is. So that's my go everywhere. And then Hay House is putting it out in a mass market edition later this year. I think mid-September, maybe October. I'm feeling more like it's September. So I'm so excited for that. I will be getting that, and then the mass market will travel with me everywhere, and I will keep my original independent version on the shelf to keep it awesome. So this is the Work Your Light Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. This was her first deck that came out. In my opinion, it's still her best deck. I have 3. I have not yet ordered the new one because I felt I was very disappointed with the Rose Oracle. I may, that happens sometimes. I may come back to it later and like it later. Like, maybe it's just the energy I'm working with now doesn't resonate with that deck. Sometimes it's like that. I've had decks where they didn't really resonate. They sat on my shelf for, 8 or 9 years, and then all of a sudden I pick them up and I'm like, oh, look, it's amazing, and it works. So I really love the Work Your Light. I love the illustrations. I find that this is the deck I use when I'm doing any kind of shadow work, because even though it looks like it's pretty light and fluffy, it kind of, I feel like it completely calls me out sometimes. Like if there's something there that needs to be brought attention to, this deck usually brings attention to it. And not in a mean way. It's just like, hey, deal with it. You've got a thing, deal with it. So that one's hanging out with me. Okay, so this has the guidebook in it because I've had this deck for years, and I got it and I liked it and it worked well. But I never really learned it. So this is the Enchanted Map by Collette Baron-Reid. This is the old edition that had the gilding and it had the brown borders on it. The borders were like this color, right? And I mean, the Hay House decks from my hands, I barely get my hand around it. It's very awkward. So even though it was a deck that worked well, I just never used it because there was other decks that were slightly easier, and maybe it's just where I was at the time. I didn't like the brown. It's like, if it wasn't for the gilding, I probably would have taken the brown off a lot sooner. So I finally trimmed it down. So now it's more pocket size for me. Like, it's more hand size. And I'm finding I'm really loving the readings that I'm getting with it. But I'm working with it for this summer because now I'm actually really learning the deck. because there's a lot you can do intuitively, but I mean, she makes these big chunky guidebooks for a reason, right? So why not read the guidebook? So this is traveling with me while I learn it, because, you know, that's why they call it a practice, because you need to practice all the time if you're going to be good at it. I mean, you can be, and some people are like super intuitive. They just need to see an image or hear a phrase and like it sparks off their psychic spidey senses and they just go nuts. Sometimes that happens. Yes. Sometimes, you know, it's nice to have knowledge about the deck. So, you know, you have it. Why not learn it? All right. I've got my little Lenormand and I keep the little white book in here with it. So this is the Under the Roses Lenormand by Kendra Hurto and Katrina Hill. And it lives in this cute little red bag. The backs, the fronts. This is probably my favorite Lenormand to work with, because it's really, this one just works really well for me compared to I love every Lenormand deck that I have. This one actually seems to work the best for me, where it actually is like I can read with it. The other ones I kind of stumble with still. This is the one that wants to work with me. So this is the one that travels with me just in case I need a little extra. Right? I mean, so far there's a lot in this bag, yeah? Like I said, it's a very full bag. Okay, why is this not? Let me just get this. Of course. It's the only time it's done this to me in 6 months. Of course. All right. So there we go. So this deck, so I've got the little guidebook in case I want to reference it, because guidebooks are there for a reason. This is the Practical Magic Inner Witch Oracle from Grounded by the Moon. You can buy this on Etsy. This one is the Dark Moon edition, which actually arrived damaged. And I just let them know. I'm like, look, you know, just so you know, because you've got a quality control issue here happening. A bunch of the gilding was chipped off on the corners, and I took pictures of it, and I was just like, okay, you know, here's the info. Do you need me to send you the pictures of the damage on it? And they were like, no, I've already shipped. When they contacted me back, they said, look, I'm already shipping you out a replacement. And I was like, wow, I mean, that not completely necessary, but I was like, wow, sure, that's amazing, right? I mean, it's not an inexpensive deck, that's for sure. But it's fabulous, right? So it's based on the movie Practical Magic. So it has all the really fun things about it. Each page has like a little, like couple of little keywords, right? Like Amos Veritas, which is manifest, and the keywords are manifest and visualization. It gives you a little thing, and then it like gives you a little exercise, and then an affirmation. I have the power to create and visualize my destiny. So it's really, really a beautiful deck. So these are the backs. Super cute. I mean, I love the movie Practical Magic. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen it. And it's just this, like, oh, look at those boots. I used to have boots like this. So many pairs of boots like this. Now I have slippers and a pair of running shoes and some 5-finger toe shoes, and I have winter boots. That's it. Yeah. So, I mean, it's fabulous. There's many walkthroughs. If anybody wants one, I can do one. I can do a side-by-side. I have the full moon and new moon edition. I love this. You know, by the time the new one arrived, because I was like, you know, because I mean, I love a perfect deck, but by the time the new one arrived, I was so in love with this kind of like damaged, like, I mean, it peels like, I mean, my nail polish, which is a day old, not even 24 hours, right? But the minute my hands go in hot water, it kind of just, you know, it's kind of like me, right? Just a little, not perfect, doesn't have to be, but it's a great reader. It's a great clarifier. I love this for a 3-card, and I love it just for 1 or 2 cards, just to kind of clarify, finish off the energy on a reading. I love this deck so much. This travels with me. And this bag, I don't even remember where this bag came from. I think I actually ended up, I think this was, I bought a used, I think I actually got a used tarot deck that came in this bag. But it's like a stretchy, it's like that 2-way stretch velvet with the chainette fringe. It's amazing. Fun little bag. Okay. So now we're almost at the tarot. Okay, so I do have a set of runes. Even though now I have the rune cards, the runes are still in here because you never know when you want to do like a full shake and cast with actual. These are my moose antler. So these came from someone who made them, that actually goes out and collects like the antler sheds, because each year, like the deer, the moose, they all actually shed their antlers off and then grow new ones, right? So that's how their antlers change from year to year. So I love it. So these ones are moose. And those are my, as soon as I saw that they were moose and not deer antler, I just immediately was like, oh yeah, those are coming home with me. I needed them. All right, so these are the tarot decks that are traveling with me. And then, yeah, this will be all that's left in the bag. Okay, so I have the Radiant Wilds Tarot that I am studying this summer. So that'll be in this bag, which is a gorgeous, stunning, bright, fiery, like, it's just like so, there's so much like hot energy that comes off this deck. It's absolutely fabulous. This deck is amazing, 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 amazing. It's like a mix between like the She-Wolf tarot and Moonchild, like the Akashic, Star Child, and She-Wolf. It's kind of like a really fantastic blend and it's a mass market deck, and it comes gilded. It's a rock pool deck, so it's got a really fabulous full color book with it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I mean, there's a few flip throughs out there. I might do one, we'll see, but this is my current deck that I'm actually really studying, because the imagery, it is vaguely Rider-Waite-Smith, but the imagery is very different, very like a very different Ten of Swords, right? Where are the swords? You know, so you have to learn it. Really interesting messages in the book. It's a very cool tarot deck if you're doing any kind of shadow work, because it really asks interesting questions. So that's my hot summer fiery deck that I'm studying right now. Then the decks that I read with when I travel, I have my Star Child Akashic version. I don't travel with my Moonchild because I am too afraid of somebody spilling something or something getting on it. So the Star Child is the one that travels with me. It's weird how we have favorites like that, right? Love the color palette. Fabulous deck. It's been out for a few years, but it shuffles well, it travels well, it reads well. It reads really well with the Work Your Light Oracle. I really like reading with it with that. It works well with my runic deck. So that's kind of like, if I'm reading for someone else, I tend to use that one more because it's a little bit more luxurious deck, so it's fun for people. You know, when someone's getting a reading, they actually really enjoy looking at that deck. So it gives them another level where it's not like they're looking at the cards going, oh, gee, that's scary. That seems like this. That seems like, you know, it's not like the old Rider-Waite with 1,000 swords in your back. It's a little bit more artistic, and people tend to get caught up more in the color palette than in looking at the cards and being frightened or anticipating some ick. So then this is the Crystal Visions Tarot, which I recently did a video on where I trimmed it. This is a gorgeous little deck. I love reading with this, and it's a fun new addition, so it's hanging out with me for a while. It's like my new BFF. So this is one, and I like the size of it. This is really easy to travel and shuffle with, and if you're traveling and you have a limited space to read in, it's a little bit smaller, so you can fit like a lot of cards in a very small space. You don't need like a huge space. It's not a great big monster style deck. So I'm really loving that. And I just happen to have this in the drawer. What a perfect match. Like this was just hanging out. One of the extra bags in like my suitcase that my not currently working with decks hang out in, and opened it up and I was like, it's so perfect. So that's one of my travel decks that travels with me. And then my classic Rider-Waite that I have trimmed down. This one's small, very traditional and ancient. It's the Ancient US Games Rider-Waite deck. So this travels with me, and of course it's a little bit smaller, which I like because you don't know how big your space is going to be to read with. If you're hanging out in a tent, you know, if you're using like a tiny little side table. So yeah, so that is what travels with me. It seems like it's a lot once I unpack it and I talk about it, and I'm like, can't I pare that down? But I'm always looking at the bag and I get somewhere and I think, oh, I should have brought that with me. So, you know, it's you can't take them all with you. So sometimes we just have to choose. Yeah, so those are the decks that not only travel with me to different places, but they actually travel with me from room to room, right? In my little bag that I'm dragging around. I have a couple other decks that I had planned to study with this summer, but then the Radiant Wilds Tarot showed up, and it's just different enough that it actually requires you to study it. A lot of the Rider-Waite-Smith clones, you can just pick them up and just read them if you know the Rider-Waite system, and they'll just like go, go, go. This one actually requires a little bit more study, a little bit more looking into it. So yeah, so we'll see. That's what's in my bag, at least until I'm thinking probably mid-September. And then I'm probably going to switch out a couple of decks, but all right. So I hope you enjoyed that little peek into what my current tarot study practice looks like. Well, not really the practice. The practice is a whole other level, right? But these are my current studies and my current reads, my current practice decks that I'm actually using in all my kind of like my daily draws for myself, new spreads that I'm trying, you know, new kind of patterns, how different decks are working with, like certain tarot decks are working with certain oral decks, and back and forth. So all right, If you stuck around this long, I would love if you would take a moment to give me a little thumbs up. If you feel called to, I would love if you would subscribe. If there's any decks that you actually wanted to see a full walkthrough of, or even just a quick flip through of, just go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know what decks you're working on. I love watching these kinds of videos myself, which is why I decided to make one, because I love to know what other people are actually working with, because it just gives me ideas in how I can evolve and grow my own tarot practice and my own practice as a reader. So yeah, if you've stuck around this long, I just hope that you have a wonderful day. Take care.